Hi everyone, my name is Calvin Cherry and I have written a prequel to Bram Stoker's classic Dracula. It's called Stoker: Evolution of a Vampire. So today's video blog, I'm going to talk about the publication process. And I'll be upfront with you, I'm no expert in this area, but enough people had asked me about it over the past year and a half that I thought it would be worthy of discussion. So I'm going to discuss what I learned, my approach, and why I took that approach. And if you could probably talk to 5 different authors and get their own individual take on the whole process. But again, I'm just going to talk about what I learned and the approach that I took. So to start with, there's 3 different publication routes you can take. The traditional, self-publication, and then a hybrid approach. So I went with a hybrid approach, but I want to briefly touch on the other just to kind of give some background on what they are and why I went with the hybrid approach. So the traditional approach is basically the publishing company accepts the risk. They handle all the upfront costs, so the author pays nothing, and of course they take care of all the marketing that goes with it, and then they get paid when the book becomes widely known and sells. Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, obviously they take the traditional approach, and in most cases the author receives an advance to get the manuscript finished. So then there's the opposite extreme, the self-publication, and basically the author takes care of everything. They do all the research. You have to learn how to do everything, and of course there's time involved in doing all that, and you assume the complete risk. Again, you pay for everything yourself, you do your own promotion and marketing and all of that. And then there's the hybrid approach, which is exactly that. It's kind of a in between. So there is some upfront cost that you pay the publishing firm, but at the same time they take care of the majority of the publication process. But then there's some marketing that you will have to take care of yourself, or as I've learned. So I try the traditional approach to begin with, like what most people would try doing. So I sent out query letters, and we'll talk more about those in a minute. But I found that I would send out 10 query letters to a well-known publication firm. I would hear back from 3 of them, maybe one of those 3 interested. I would send them my manuscript, and every case the reply I got back was my manuscript was too long. And of course my manuscript was close to 600 pages long, and the message that I got back was, for a first-time author, that was pretty much unheard of, to go with a manuscript that long, and everyone that was interested in it wanted me to cut it back pretty much in half, which is something that I just didn't feel like I should do, considering the amount of time and energy I put into it. And to be frank, I couldn't really figure out how to cut it in half without just completely having to rewrite the entire manuscript. So that was pretty much cut out the traditional approach. The self-publication I kind of looked into, and I felt like I had never published anything before, so I'd spent so much time and energy getting my manuscript together, and I work a full-time job as well, so I really didn't want to assume the entire risk. So I went with the hybrid approach. So I ended up going with a company called Page Publishing, and so from here on out I'll kind of discuss what I learned from them. So in any phase, with whatever approach that you take, there's certain aspects of the publication process that remains the same. There's an editing phase, there's a page design phase, there's the cover design phase, then getting the manuscript ready for digital format, then getting and applying for copyright registration, getting the ISBN number and the manuscript put on Ingram's database, which is where bookstores go to order books, and then taking care of any kind of publicity, press release, and marketing. So again, regardless of what approach you take, those are the areas that pretty much follow in that order. So things to look out for. In my case, I went through every one of those aspects through page publishing. Editing is just that, getting someone to work as an editor and to correct any mistakes in it. The page design, making sure that the typed script is right and the margins are right, and it's in a format which kind of fits the manuscript. The cover design, which is basically taking, in my case, a drawing that I put together, and this was the final result of that. Applying for the copyright registration, which all of these things I basically had no experience doing. And so, of course, with the traditional approach, they're done for you. With the doing it yourself through self-publication, you have to learn how to do all that. And in some cases, probably still pay someone. So page publishing did an excellent job in all of those things. I have no complaints whatsoever. The one thing I'd mentioned, things to look out for, is when, whatever avenue you choose to go, if you're asked to sign a contract, read it all and understand it all. One important thing that I did not consider is that the contract that I entered into with page publishing, there was a word used called print on demand. And basically, if the company you go with is a print on demand company only, that means that your book is not going to be available in stores. If it's print on demand, that means that it's printed after someone buys a copy. So if they go online, order a copy, then it gets printed. So the mistake that I made was not understanding what that meant, and once my book had completed the entire 6 phases and was available for purchase, I remember going into several bookstores and wondering why my book wasn't there. And come to find out, it's print on demand only. And so in order to market my book, I ended up having to go on a rigorous book signing promotion. So every Saturday for about a year and a half, I was going into bookstores and they would order my book, but I ended up, hand selling them in the bookstore. And then whatever didn't get sold, they shipped back. So definitely something to keep in mind, print on demand. I wasn't quite ready for the whole publicity marketing campaign. What page publishing ended up doing, they did do a press release, but it was a very limited press release. And so I quickly realized that, okay, well, if my book isn't going to be available in stores unless I set up a book signing in a particular store, and I did quite a few stores over a year and a half, if it's not in a bookstore, how are they going to know about it? And how are they going to know to go online and order it if it's not in stores and if there's no marketing campaign taking place? So I pretty much assumed all that responsibility myself. So things that you can do is go to conventions, book signings. I set up an author Facebook page, so I was posting things there. I got on Goodreads. I was posting things there. So of course, there's many different approaches that you can take. These are just a few things that I did to try to get the word out about my book. And you know, anything that you get from page publishing or whatever avenue you decide to go with, again, read it, understand it, ask questions, and run it by some other people as well. If you know someone who's been through this process, get their take on it, get some ideas. You know, Google companies. Don't go with the first company that you receive an offer from. You know, shop around and see what each one offers, and definitely read what other people are saying about them, and make an educated decision. Those are some things that I learned, and based on what I learned, when my second book is ready for publication, I'm going to be doing the same thing, shopping around and trying to get the best deal that I can get. So I hope these tidbits of information you find helpful. My second book is actually a nonfiction book, and so that kind of changes my direction going forward, because with a nonfiction book, you have to create not only a query letter to send to different publishers, but you have to actually create a package as well, which is something new to me. So I ended up buying a book and called Guide to Literary Agents 2019. I'm not sure if there's a 2020 version out there yet or not, but this tells you all about a proposal package for a nonfiction book, and it also in the back gives a list of publishers or publishing agents between nonfiction agents versus fiction agents. So there's a lot of literary agents who specialize in either nonfiction or fiction. So this book is a book that has really helped me tremendously, especially for my second book, which again is nonfiction. So I'm in the middle of creating a proposal package, and we'll be using the index of this book to try to filter out agents that specialize in nonfiction for my topic, which is kind of the pop culture. So again, I hope you find this helpful. If my book is something that you think might interest you, it is available at all online book retailers. And if you go into a brick and mortar store and they don't have it, they will order it for you. And if you happen to be interested in a signed copy, I do have a couple of copies that I'm ready to sign and get out to people. So if that's something you'll be interested in, feel free to private message me and I'll be glad to hook you up. So thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.